So Doug brought up Dylan, and I will let me throw this out there. Was he better than you thought? This is for you. This is for everybody. 402-951-1620. Was he better than you thought?
Yeah. Yeah, he was. And not the arm talent, not the throws. It was his demeanor in processing once he got the ball. In post-snap, I thought was very, well, okay, we'll just say it, very similar to what we had seen in low-stress situations when you were in a green jersey. I just didn't notice anything different where you think, okay, now that it's live, guys can actually hit you. And this is, I said this on Saturday, so I give the offensive line a little bit of credit early on, especially because he was able to establish it himself in the pocket where I think he was pretty calm because he didn't have dudes chomping at his feet, and chalk that up to good protection there too. But even when after a while, when guys start getting his face, the touchdown pass Naor on the sideline, he had a guy right in his face, gets into his arm, and he still makes that throw.
That's because Nebraska's two starting tackles decided that they weren't going to pass block on Saturday.
That one,
no, they weren't going to pass block on Saturday.
Period.
I don't know if they were bored.
It was a low grade.
They didn't want to show anything.
Yeah,
I didn't need to look at a PFF.
Yeah.
Nebraska's really good interior from guard, center guard.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Benhart just showed up. I don't think he was that good. He didn't have to be dominant.
Yeah.
Now, Corcoran was okay.
I thought,
but both of those guys, they decided not to pass block.
I thought Corcoran, I said this on Saturday, and this is the only reason I went back and watched it, and I still think it's a slight edge. Again, in the not necessarily offensive line expert eyes of myself, it appeared that I thought Turner Corcoran had a better game.
Than Benhart?
Yeah, than Bryce Benhart. I thought he just had a better game.
Yeah, I think Benhart was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But for a guy that has now started the most games ever in the history of offensive linemen at Nebraska, I don't want just okay. Yeah. And I expect him will be different. I just thought he was very pedestrian. Nothing flashy. But those two pass blocking, I would did that. So I haven't looked at the PFF because I can watch games with my eyes.
Yeah. I was curious.
Were they both way down?
They were.
Okay.
But I was way off as far as the PFF grade because Bryce Benhart was way higher than Turner Corcoran.
I don't think we acknowledge how fortunate Nebraska is to have Ben Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Scott's a really good football player, and spend money wisely in the portal. Mazuka was a really good pickup.
Yep, he was blowing dudes up.
I think Nebraska, and I didn't notice as much of Evans, but I think Nebraska guard, center guard is pretty good.
Yeah, Mazuka, I thought he stood out more than anybody, especially in some of the short yardage situations where, and this was something that Verz has brought up a couple times of what he'd be looking for with overall improvement, but was that point of impact on the line of scrimmage where you were seeing, especially between center guard, that line of scrimmage is moving back. You're getting depth initially off that point of contact. First thing I was watching early in that game, the pass protection. Now, see, this is where I get a little bit more in it wasn't, I think it was awful for the tackles as I'm watching it. There were times where, and there was the one notable moment where obviously they're not sending the house, but Dylan is essentially sitting back having a picnic. And I'm watching, I don't know what the guy was doing to try to get around Turner Corcoran. It was probably more indicative of the guy on the defensive line than it was Turner. But I don't think it was almost like, oh, we're not supposed to tackle this guy because he was making no attempt to get around Turner Corcoran. But I'll give Turner Corcoran credit. He kept him within his frame the entire time. But there were moments like that early on where I thought when Dylan, especially in that first drive, was getting enough protection that if guys are getting at his feet early on, I'm curious if that calmness, that poise is still there, evident throughout the whole game. But going back to your original question about this whole thing of, did he look better than you thought? Yeah, from the standpoint of how calm he was and his ability to process as that game, is that much faster than what he's experienced in high school. To me, that I thought looked better than I could have thought.
I think he protected the ball. Now, he's got a little gunslinger in him, and he threw some passes. Like Banks bailed him out on a 50-50 ball.
Yeah. In a double coverage.
That against better defensive backs, that's probably going to be picked, or it's going to be knocked down and you're not going to have the reception.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got some versatility. He likes the sidearm throw. He definitely has a vibe to him. Like it runs normal. And I think that also impacts Satterfield on the play calling. Yeah. Like the play calling on Saturday made sense. Mm-hmm. It just the flow of the game, what they were going to run, just all kind of seemed to fall in line. Now, Nebraska did a great job playing complementary football in all three phases. Yeah. He also, and Rhule alluded to this in the postgame, he got the award for the discount triple check in what he did, which is impressive because
that's another part of it.
Because if you watch it and you just watch him on the play that is pointed out, his checks were after the 15 seconds.
Right.
So he'd already had the play. So in 15, and they snapped the ball with 2. So he had already gone through that, which is impressive for a freshman. I will tell you one of the things that you're going to see, and this is going to get refined. So it's third down, and this is the first incompletion. It's 2nd and 3 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they run just a straight fly pattern with Naor to the end zone. And they're on the right hash when they snap the ball. Naor is running down the left sideline to the end zone. And Rhule drops back. He's at about the 47-yard line. He got 47 yards of air and just missed Naor diving in the end zone. Yep. He went from the right sideline to essentially the right hash, right hash to the left sideline, 47 yards in the air.
On the fly. That is a cannon.
That's the first game he's played.
Yep.
And he's still processing things.
Well, and
when he did that, and that was early in the game. Mm-hmm. I was like, kid's different. There's different. You haven't seen that. Nebraska finally has a quarterback that plays quarterback. My God.
I know.
What Nebraska won a football game, Nick, on Saturday where the starting quarterback at Nebraska had negative yards rushing.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. What a concept.
1 carry, minus 6 yards.
Yep. The touchdown pass to Jamal Banks, I also thought, I don't want to say this makes him better than what I thought he was, but this is more of, you've got a guy at quarterback that functions properly and probably is ahead of where most true freshmen that would be playing in that role are. That pass was textbook about, first of all, the decision, knowing exactly how much time was on the clock. Because people remember, there's only 5 seconds. And if you notice when he caught that pass, there was still 1 second on the clock. So if he makes that shot, takes that shot and it falls incomplete, you still have a chance for a field goal. So he didn't drain it, so it was all or nothing there, which again, good clock awareness. But where he put that ball, it's basically the only other defender that is going to be where the ball is if Jamal Banks doesn't catch it is the sideline and there's nobody there because Jamal Banks has that shielded off. Where does he put it? Where do we see quarterbacks tend to put that? More in the middle of the end zone or more where the defenders are and not over that back corner where your guy is the only one who can make that catch, and being able to do that in such a tight space. That's not a fluke throw. That's just what this kid knows. So again, the way that he functions, there were little moments. Someone brought this up, and I thought it was a fantastic point on that first drive on the rollout to Janiran Bonner, where he hits him coming across the middle, looks once, looks twice, finds Janiran Bonner to get the ball upfield. And I think that got him a first down. If it not, it put him in down a very favorable down and distance. But again, that was taking what was given to you. Yep. That was moving on the run, showing athleticism, and putting it to where your guy could go down, make a catch, carry the football.
Yep. With all that said, run the ball Saturday night and run it and run it and run it and run it
until they say they can't take it no more.
That's run the damn ball, guy. Mm-hmm. You better be in uniform because I think that's what Nebraska can do is just run the ball. Guy. They can pass the ball, but run the ball on Saturday night. Mm-hmm. This game needs to be more of a Big Ten game than a Big 12 game. Not saying that Nebraska couldn't win a Big 12 game, but if you play Big Ten football, that team that you're going to be playing, they don't have the physicality to do that. And you beat on them and beat on them and beat on them. Run the damn ball, guy. I'll even take you to Lincoln if you want to go. The bus is leaving at noon.